Thank you very much.
Let's take a look now at how the markets have been performing in Namibia and the Namibian overall index, which we do know is quite aligned with the South African market. Let's see if that board can come up, and I can tell you now it is pretty flat on the day, not 0.1%, 987.76 on the local currency front, which is the Namibian dollar, which is strongly aligned to the South African rand. That exchange rate at the moment trading at 278.95. Flat on the day, really, not 0.02%. Let's cross over now to NBC in Windhoek, where we talk to Rome Mostert. He's head of research at IJG Securities. Rome, I saw a very stable market in the numbers that I've just said out, both on the currency as well as on the stocks side. It doesn't look like there's much excitement in your market at the moment.
Yes, we had a couple of results coming out over the last couple of weeks with both positive and negative surprises in there, and I think we've been following overall sentiment from South Africa, with Anglo-American holding back a bit, even retreating, and your defensive stocks up a bit. So the market's quite offsetting each other. However, we also saw uptick in volume since February and still even in the beginning of March. So not a lot of excitement going on, but yeah.
Sure. So let's talk about some of the results that have come through. I mean, you have seen results coming through from Oryx Properties and then also Bidvest Namibia. Just your key takeaways from those two sets of results?
Okay, basically, let's start with the bad news first. We saw Bidvest Namibia reporting some decreases in earnings. I think it was to the extent of 22%. This was despite strong growth in revenue that came through with the inclusion of the TNC acquisition. The reason for the decline in earnings was basically on the back of a drop in margins, on the back of the fishing segment that has been under pressure with new rights holders coming into the system, and Bidvest now have to pay up in order to get a hold of TACs in the secondary market. So that has been very bad. But in light of the earnings decrease, but they still managed to keep dividends unchanged from the previous year at 23 cents per share. The big question, however, is will they be able to maintain dividends in the full year, or will they have to let go a bit? Looking at Oryx Properties, good results coming out there. Sorry?
No, go on.
Basically we saw distribution growth of 9%, which is pretty much in line with escalations that they put through. Basically a good all-round results. We saw vacancies drop to 0.4%, which is very impressive. Just in an overall view. And if you talk to local retailers, there's quite a demand for retail space in Namibia, and considering Oryx Properties' exposure to the Marua Mall and retail sector in general, I suspect that we will see the vacancy rate remaining quite low.
Yeah, so I see now you have taken a look at those numbers and you have updated your target price for the stock, and you're expecting a return of 15.8% going forward. What kind of drivers are you seeing there?
Oryx Property is currently busy with construction on its Marua Mall building of premises, and we expect some nice or strong GLA growth to come in there over the next year or so. Along with a 9% growth or escalation rate coming through, I suspect we can see some attractive growth in distribution. So with the growth in distribution, maybe just and interest rates remaining fairly unchanged over the next year, I suspect we can see a bit of capital appreciation along with an attractive 9.6% yield on the stock.
Yeah, let's talk about some company news now. SAB Namibia is starting construction on their brewery at Okahanja, and that's next month. I'd imagine this must be causing a few shivers at the local brewers, including Namibia breweries. What kind of an outlook do you see here potentially coming, as you have a big gorilla in the form of SAB, into a very small market like Namibia?
Yes, I don't think we will expect SAB to come and kill Nambrus on from a price perspective in Namibia. I think the building of the brewery is more focused towards entering the African markets through this brewery. About 18 months ago, we saw a steep price increase in all SAB's products in Namibia, which was a bit contrary to what we would have thought if it would have been expected to be price competitive. So basically, the brewery would be built at $150 US per hectoliter, which compares to Nambrew's market cap and EV to hectoliter of about $120 US per hectoliter. So I would say this is supportive for valuation first of all, and it maybe shows SAB's interest in a market that has strong disposable growth or disposable income growth coming through, with recent tax cuts being released and in general strong demand figures all over the Namibian economy. So I think it's more a reflection of the overall wealthiness of our consumer and maybe getting exposure to that consumer.